Hello, and welcome back to the Jessica Pinili podcast. Let's speak about money. And everyone loves money. And if you think that you don't, you're probably not going to want to watch or listen to this podcast episode. But before we get into it, we are going to do an angel card pull. I did a pre shuffle and I kind of tapped into the energy of abundance. But before that, I just want to say there is such a huge percentage of you that come back every single video, and I love you for it, but you're still not subscribed. So I would absolutely love it if you hit the subscribe button. If you love this episode, give it a thumbs up as well. It does support the channel. It pushes out my videos to so many other high achieving women, and it just makes me so happy to connect with you all. And I would just really, really appreciate it. And if you're listening to this on Spotify and you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, I would absolutely love a review as well. It means so much to me and I love reading them. Let's get into your angel card pull. So pick a number, one or two. As I said, I kind of tapped into, because I can't shuffle while I'm holding this microphone, but I have tapped into the energy. I put out two cards. I haven't even looked at them yet. I don't know what they are, but choose a one or two. Whenever I first said that, whatever came to mind, keep that as your number. Don't second guess it. Tap into the energy. Ask your question either out loud in your mind of what you need clarity on. That's what I'm feeling like. These cards are going to give you some form of clarity. So, my number one, your card is Star Seed. What lights you up? Straight away, and like I said, I tapped into the energy of abundance. But the lighter you are, the more femme energy you can tap into. I mean, femme energy is receiving, right? It is very light energy. It's very flowy energy. And so it's like maybe this is a bit of a femme energy. You need to tap into your femme energy. You need to do things, more things probably, that are lighting you up, that feel good in your heart space, that excite you. If you feel that you have just been doing the same thing every single day, you kind of feel like you're on this hamster wheel, this is a reminder you need to go have some fun. You need to go do something exciting for your soul. That is my number ones. My number twos, your card is yes. Just say yes. So if you asked a direct question, the answer is yes. Or maybe you've been thinking about doing something. Maybe you're contemplating a new project, business, a job, a relationship, something. Your angel guides are saying yes. Maybe you had a question about an investment. Maybe you had a question around money or something to do with abundance, welcoming more money in. Again, the answer is yes. This is a really, really strong one. And I feel like intuitively, you need to follow this. Take action, even if it's pausing this podcast episode right now and taking action on what you should be saying yes on. So I love that. My number one, what lights you up? And my number two, just say yes. So let's get into today's podcast episode. As I said, we're going to be speaking about money, also abundance, tapping into the abundance mindset, mastering the abundance mindset. And before this, like I've got my little post-it note because I am recording back to back today. And I quite literally, you can see I just have the titles of what I want the podcast to be called. And I was going to, before I hit record, I was going to make a couple of notes and put it on my phone so I could read off. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to riff. I'm going to see what comes out, where I'm at right now in life, how I'm viewing abundance. And so I don't know how many steps, maybe one, maybe seven, who knows? But I'm going to give you some things for you to think about when it comes to mastering an abundance mindset. Some things that help me, the things that help my clients, that I share with my clients, that I see massive, massive results, and the things that I teach, the things that I preach. I practice what I preach, and I hope that they help you too. And if you're watching here and you love this, definitely comment below your favorite point of the video. If you are listening, I would love for you to slide into my DMs. And again, even tag me on your story. Take a screenshot of this podcast episode and tag me on your story. I love to have a chat. But my first one that comes to mind about mastering the abundance mindset is really the language you are using, both spoken, both thought. So we can think about like two in one, the thought and the language around abundance and around money. And this is kind of inspired by a mini conversation I had with my partner this morning. We don't use the word expensive. And anyone in my life knows I don't use the word expensive. I will, any of my friends, my family who use it, I will immediately be like, no, don't use that. Like I personally use the word lux. I know there's other different words, but I just don't use the word expensive. I think the way we've been brought up in society, it's quite a negative connotation. Like, oh, that's too expensive. Like it kind of feels icky. Like I was just saying to my partner today, it's just not in my vocabulary. I just don't even think about it. And I kind of taught him this when we first got together, and he was saying the exact same thing. He's like, even at work, like I didn't even think about it until someone else says it. And he uses the word lux as well. So I just want you to start thinking about what is the language you're using around money, around abundance? What are the thoughts you were thinking? Like I said, this is kind of like a two in one point. But the spoken word as well is like, what are you saying to yourself every single day? And this is something I am working on so much this year. I started first working on my money mindset maybe like 2020, maybe halfway through 2021. I can't exactly remember. And I was really, really good with noticing. This is when I stopped using the word expensive, but I was really good with noticing what I was saying, my spoken word, but also my thoughts. Like when I would pay for something, when I would see something pop up, to buy or on my phone or, on a website, whatever it may be, a bill. And I was really, really good. And admittedly, the past year, I have slipped up more times than I care to admit. Am I human? Absolutely. But I do know better. And we know the power. If you're watching this, you're into personal development, right? You know what I speak about, you know what I preach about here on this channel. And we do know better. We do know better about our subconscious programming. And what does the subconscious mind love? It loves repetition. So if I've been a bit lazy for nearly a year, that is going to compound into things that aren't productive for me or manifest things that I would rather not manifest. You can attract things that aren't in your favor. And so I really had like a hard reflection and talk to myself before the beginning of 2024. And I was just really honest about what I was thinking, what I was saying. And because it had become so routine with the way that I was thinking about some forms of money or bills or things like that, I just hadn't, like, when something's routine, it's on autopilot. You don't even realize. You just keep doing it and you keep repeating it. And then it's like it's like whenever else you self sabotage, you realize after you have like this emotional come down and you're like, oh, I know better than that. And this again, I am always going to say this. I say this to my clients over and over and over again. This is nowhere near about shaming yourself or judging yourself. And when I say we should know better, I mean it in the most loving way. It's not about like saying I should know better and like shaming yourself so much that you don't want to be productive. No, not at all. What I am saying though, it is about taking ownership. And I really had to take ownership at the start of this year and be so consciously focused. And I think it's like muscle memory because it's something that I practice, like I said, either from the end of 2020 or start of 2021, I practice. And so the things I'm starting to do and implement, like spoken words, like I am now every single day I'm just speaking out loud different affirmations and really feeling into it. I think sometimes affirmations get a bad rap. I give them a bad rap because, we can say something like, I am rich a million times a day, but if we're not feeling into it, if we don't have conviction behind the words, it's not going to mean anything. It's not going to do any good. And so I've really been practicing when I say it frequently, but say it with conviction and say it like I believe it. And just looking at my thought process whenever I see money or whenever I'm paying for something and really switching that around. This is probably going to be this point, this two in one point is probably going to be the most important that you hear out of this entire podcast episode. So if it is anything you take away from this episode, please take away this point. I promise you, like for a week, fully change the way you were speaking and thinking about money. Like become so consciously aware. And if you have one moment where you get a bill and you're thinking, fuck, another bill in that moment, like literally in that moment, not like 5 hours later when you're in bed journaling at nighttime. No, in that moment, that is the key. I want you to turn around and I want you to affirm something and I'm not going to give you a bunch of affirmations. Like I always say to my clients, it's whatever resonates with you. Like I can give you all of mine, but they may not resonate. And I want you in that moment. That is the absolute key. Because I think with this type of work, sometimes we get into this habit of things occurring to us and we kind of think about it. It's like, I'm going to have a big journaling session later, or I'm going to, Sunday is my personal development work. These are the things that we can do in the moment. These are the things that we can take action on. And I promise you, like practice this for a week and see number one, how you feel inside. You're going to feel a lot better because you're higher vibrational. You're practicing more gratitude. Money is also a love frequency. You're going to feel more love in your heart space. You're going to feel lighter. You're going to feel better for it. So that's number, like, why wouldn't you want to feel better? Right. So start practicing it, but then you're going to notice your shift in the way you look at money. So even saying to my partner, like I have been like consciously, ferociously, I don't remember the last time I used that word, but like ferociously working on my thought and my language this past week, like really, really refining it now that I'm back from traveling. But I have been living out of a suitcase since basically December 2023. And now it's like Feb 2024. And I just got back home from Bali. I was all over the place. I just got back home and I feel really grounded. And so ferociously, I've been working on it. And I got two random sales today and yesterday, and I don't even know how these women got the links for what they purchased of me. Because I was like, okay, it's not up on my immediate like links, or it's not in my YouTube. It's nothing. I don't even know how they got those links. But see, the universe works in mysterious ways when you are being, maybe that's the word of the week, ferocious. When you're being ferocious about your thoughts and your language when it comes to money. Now, from there, flowing on from there, like I said, I don't know how many points it's going to be. It might be done in 5 minutes, but I'm just going to go flow with this. And the next thing that comes to mind is like having a money date every single day or every second day. And this is something that I started at the start of this year, is checking in with my finances. Again, need to preface this by saying I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial guru. This is just what I do. I'm not going to give you the specific way I do it. There's many different financial advice, like actually accredited. I was going to say like on TikTok, but I mean like accredited people that speak about it. But find a way to check in with your money, even if you're making a Google spreadsheet and you just check in with your money every single day. Have your eyes on your money. And that's one thing that I wanted to get better at, because I've spent so long and years when I was in a really bad money mindset of like being too scared to check my bank account, being too scared to have eyes on my money. And now making that a habit every day or every second day, there is no excuse. And whilst you're doing that, again, like being very honest with yourself, taking the ownership of what you're doing with your abundance, but then also, again, watching your language, watching your thoughts. See how the first two in one point is so important. So definitely having a money date with yourself, like every day or every second day, and then at the end of the month, kind of like reconcile and have a look, like where am I at? Am I on track? Like whatever your goals are, money. Maybe you don't have any saving goals. Maybe you just want to have money in your account and that's fine. Or maybe you're saving for a car, or maybe you're saving for a holiday. Like keep checking in and being very, very consciously aware of where your money is going. Which reminds me of another point of binge spending and how we can sometimes use that as a form of regulating our nervous system. This is fresh in mind because this is something that I discussed inside of my mastermind with my masterminders. So, Will Mastery Mastermind, by the way, is open. It is open for March enrollment. It is application only. It's a 4-month mastermind for high achieving women to elevate their success and fulfillment in their relationships, their career, and their wealth, all through subconscious reprogramming. So if you're like, this year is my year, this is a year where I attract fuckloads of money. I attract or nurture the relationships of my dream, platonic or romantic, and I build my career or I build my online business. This mastermind is for you. So definitely, if you want to find out more, show notes below. You can even send me a DM if you want to have a bit of a chat. But we are in the enrollment phase to start March, which I'm so excited about. But a conversation we're having, speaking about wealth, is self-sabotaging in the form of binge spending and emotionally spending. And sometimes we can use emotionally spending our money as a way to kind of get our nervous system on check or back into equilibrium, but it actually causes more stress, or it's a way to spiritually bypass. I've spoken about on this podcast before, a big spiritual bypass that I see a lot of women doing is actually journaling, but kind of just like journaling through prompts and just like jotting down how they feel, but not actually processing what is happening or processing their feelings or processing understanding themselves. Journaling is so effective. Don't get me wrong. Like I love journaling. I do it. I love it. But I think I love it because I do it effectively and I teach my clients to do it effectively. And that's exactly what you need to do if you're journaling. Don't just write down your feelings and away we go and think everything's going to be better. No, we need to process that. And that is what I see with a lot of women. And I've done this in the past, and there's something I'm also working on is trying to process or feel better or reward ourselves when really we haven't processed what's happening. We haven't processed why we are dysregulated or why that dysregulation came up. And to give a bit of context, with my client, she's just, there's a lots of things happening in her career all at once, right? It's kind of like, it's great, but it's all at once. And so to regulate herself, for all the listeners, I'm kind of doing quotation marks, to regulate herself, she went and she spent some money and she said she felt better after that. That is bypassing. That is spiritually bypassing. And we always want to spend our money from a place where we are neutral and we feel good. I used to be, and I can say this with experience, I used to be someone that's like, have this emotional dopamine hit, fill out my shopping cart and like buy it or whatever, just spend money to feel better or reward myself. And now I will sit with it. If it's anything to do with like the house or bigger purchases, I obviously discuss with my partner, but clothes, anything like that, I will sit with it. And I'll like, why, what has triggered me to want this? Do I really need this? And it's just being, it's not a lack money mindset whatsoever. It's just being conscious about where your emotions are when you're spending money. If you're always attaching spending money when you're feeling low and sad and angry and you're like that all of the time, of course you're going to spend money. But if you attach money to being neutral and grounded and honest with yourself and taking ownership of where that money is going, where your abundance is going, it comes from a better place. And we don't have this crash. We don't have this dopamine hit and then crash to the ground and feel shitty. Because I'm sure, like me, you have probably purchased something to make yourself feel better. You're rewarding yourself. And then, a few days later, a few weeks later, you're like, why did I even purchase this? Why did I even bother with this purchase? Like, I don't even want it. I don't even wear it. Like, I don't even like it. So I think being very conscious about the way that you are spending money and the energy behind spending money, I think that's important. If you are trying to better your money mindset by, you're buying a coffee every day and you tap your card and there's no gratitude or you're not feeling light about it, but every single time you tap your card, you're like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. Oh, this is bad. Oh, I shouldn't be. You don't be buying a coffee. Don't be buying a coffee. Don't be buying a bagel every morning. Don't be buying a croissant every morning. You want the relationship with money, with abundance, to be light, to be loving. And I think the more that the world is of kind of keeping us in this fear mentality, the more that we operate with a fear mentality, especially when it comes to abundance and especially when it comes to spending money and keeping money. And the last thing that I'm going to end this podcast episode on about mastering your abundance mindset is something I've been listening a lot about in different podcasts, in my own group coaching that I have invested in. And it's about exposing yourself to people who are wealthy and doing the things, or not like practice, sorry, what's the word I'm looking for? Copying them, but just like noticing their habits, noticing what they do, but trying to get in rooms with people that have wealth. And I remember I was listening to a podcast with Stephen Bartlett, and he was saying, the first time he got into a room with millionaires, like multi millionaires. I don't know the name for it. If you do, let me know in the comments. But billionaires. And he said now it's so normal for him to be in a room with a billionaire. It's so normal for him to meet a billionaire and have a conversation with a billionaire, and that it's so normalized, that type of wealth to him. And I'm not saying, all right, now go away and go find the next billionaire and go have a cup of tea with him or her. But what I am saying is really start to raise your frequency of what's possible. And the more I've really been practicing the past few months, this is like the more that I see more wealth and the more that I see like this is normal. Well, this is a possibility. Like this isn't like a one-off person. Like, I don't know, maybe 10, 20 years ago, it was like, oh, billionaire, like whoever was it, like Jeff Bezos, then Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, right? But now it's like you would be surprised how many multimillionaires, how many, I think it's decamillionaires and then billionaires. There's probably others as well in between. It's so normal. And so, my advice to you is just how can you consume if you are not in a place or a stage where you're like, okay, Jess, I don't know a millionaire, I don't know a billionaire, network, or start to consume content that are people that are normalizing this. And I mean, like, the like conversations that you see of Stephen Bartlett and Darius CEO, interviewing the types of people he does. I mean, like those, not like your typical influencer. It's not to say those influencers aren't millionaires or they don't earn good money, but I think, watching the latter is something that is more productive. That's the word I'm looking for. It's more productive in your growth and to really see. One I'll highly recommend now is Stephen Bartlett's interview with Cody Sanchez. I just found her through this and I started following her. I think she's great. She speaks a lot about money. Especially for women, like she applies to both men and women, but she's great as a woman. So I think being able to put yourself and expose yourself in different ways of being when it comes to wealth. Anyway, I'm going to leave you. I'm about to go live on Instagram before I meet up with a girlfriend to do hot yoga, which I'm excited about. But I appreciate you. I hope this has helped you. If you're watching here on YouTube, leave a comment. Let me know your biggest takeaway. If you are listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, slide into my DMs, let me know, or take a screenshot of this podcast episode and share it on your story and tag me, and we can have a convo. But if you have any questions as well about coaching and what is to come in 2024, time of recording, by the way, I am hosting a workshop. If you are like listening to this and you're vibing with this, it really comes down to your subconscious reprogramming. And in a couple of weeks, I'm hosting a subconscious reprogramming workshop. It's called The Upgrade. The link should be in the show notes below by now. Sign up to that. You get lifetime access to it. Even if you can't make the live, you'll get the replay. If any of this is resonating with you, 110%, you are going to want to get into that workshop. And I can't wait to see you there. But I'm going to love you. I'm going to leave you. Appreciate you all. I will speak to you soon. Bye.